Do we really need God? It is a question that has haunted humanity for as long as we've had the ability to ask questions. And depending on who you are, where you were born, and what life has thrown your way, the answer might seem obvious or impossible. But let's pause for a second and zoom out. Some people turn to God in moments of despair. Others reject the idea entirely, believing that science, reason, or their own strength is enough. Because this isn't just a religious question. It's not about whether you go to church, mosque, temple, or nowhere at all. It's about something deeper, something human. Let's start here. What does it mean to need God? Is it a need for comfort? For answers? Ancient civilizations carved gods into stone, painted them on cave walls, told stories that lasted generations. Why? Because they were primitive? Or because there's something in us that refuses to believe we're all alone? For someone to blame or to thank? When we look back at history, it's clear humans have always reached toward something higher. Fast forward to now. We live in the age of the I, space travel, quantum physics, and yet millions still pray. Billions still believe. Why? Because science can explain the how, but it still struggles with the why. Why do we suffer? Why are we here? Why does love hurt? Why does death exist? God, in many ways, becomes the placeholder for all the things we can't explain. And maybe that's okay. But here's the twist. Even if God doesn't exist, the idea of God still does. Atheists may reject God but still believe in morality, community, love. Aren't those also forms of faith? And that idea, whether you call it God, the universe, higher power, or pure consciousness, has shaped cultures, built nations, and governed the way we think about good and evil. So the question isn't just, do we need God to exist? It might be, do we need the idea of God to live meaningful lives? Because take away God, and suddenly the universe becomes cold, mathematical, indifferent. Some find beauty in that randomness. Others feel lost without purpose, psychological, existential. See, belief isn't just about religion. It's about structure. It's about how we make sense of chaos. He believed that without God, or without something to replace him, humanity would spiral into meaninglessness. Think about this. When someone dies, even the most rational person often whispers, "They're in a better place." Could it be that we've lost a shared story, a unifying myth, a sense of something bigger than ourselves? When we suffer, we ask, "Why me?" When we fall in love, we say, "It feels like fate." We speak in spiritual language, even if we don't believe in spirits. So maybe our need for God isn't literal, it's emotional. Even Nietzsche, the famous philosopher who declared, "God is dead," wasn't celebrating. He was warning. And maybe that's what we're seeing now. A rise in anxiety, depression, loneliness, disconnection. That there's a reason to keep going, even when everything falls apart. We've never been more connected digitally, yet so many feel alone. This doesn't mean everyone has to go back to religion, but maybe we do need something transcendent, something beyond money, fame, or Instagram likes. Because deep down, we're all asking the same questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What happens after I die? And those questions aren't going away. So do we need God? Maybe not in the way ancient people did lightning bolts, miracles, commandments. But maybe we need the space that God fills. Maybe we need to believe that we're not accidents, that kindness matters. Maybe we don't need a God to control the universe. Maybe we need something that helps us control ourselves. And in that way, whether God exists or not, maybe we still need him.